Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Blackheart signing black in and shining again, asking you to hit that share button because the message is more important than the messenger. My colleague, former colleague, has asked me to cover the subject. You know who you are, man. And so he asked me to cover it, and I've tried 4 times now to make it short, and I couldn't. So I'm going to get straight to the point. He and I had a colleague named Sandra from the American Southeast, like myself, but from a much smaller town and from an earlier age group, an older age group, an earlier decade, probably about a decade older than me. She was of the mindset that black men should not ever be with women of another race. Now, to her credit, she did not write off specifically African American. She didn't say she has to be African American, but she had to be black. To her credit, she wasn't nationalist with it either. But let me tell you this. She told me this. First time she told me was the beginning of 2017, and I nodded my head in agreement. You know, pro-black, I'm with that. That's right, shut everybody else out because they don't appreciate us much. I know colorism's globalism, F all of them. Things continued. 2017, I went on vacation back to States for that summer. Spent about a month. Went back here to where we work. And my friend who had hooked me up with my second ex-wife he knew the situation about the divorce she requested. He didn't blame me. He was now trying to hook me up with someone else. He tried with 3 different women, all of them black. 2 American, 1 Bahamian, living in Africa. The 2 black Americans were living in New York. One was very not pleasant to look at. She was all interested. Needless to say, she also had 3 kids. The other, he said, was gorgeous, nice to look at. She also was the only one to tell him when she saw my photograph not to send me her photograph. It would be a waste of time. I thought to myself, how is it that I am consistently told this when they have options? Now, if I was ugly, that would make sense. But I'm not. I'm just not. And that's not an arrogant thing for me to say. But the thing is that I do resemble my parents too much for that to be the case, and nobody would dare call them ugly. They're better looking than I am, both of them, but none would dare call them ugly. I don't look far enough away from them to be called that. So I started to wonder, wait a minute, where have I seen this? Oh, that's right, I saw this before I became Muslim. This was most of my life. Let them be attractive, and it's always I'm cute, but, or I'm not cute. So it jarred my memory of what I was told in 2001. So when Sandra came back in 2017, after that summer, start the next school year, and she started this stuff. This time I had experience that said something different, and I said to her that time, listen, this time I'm going to ask you, what about the black men that black women don't want? Oh, that doesn't happen. There's a black woman for every black man. No, there are black men that black women don't want. Now, these black men can find black women that are single moms, overweight, just unattractive, ain't got no other options. But these are not. But see, these black women, that means they don't want these men because they had to go through these things before they would try these men. And these men are in shape, no kids, nice to look at according to women's standards. That just, for whatever reason, it's like they don't have enough other women chasing after them, so they're not sought after by the others. It's cyclical. Because the first 5 that he was in class with in high school didn't chase after him, nobody else did. She wasn't willing to consider that possibility. She was telling me that there were too many black women and that black men had no business stepping out because there were too many black women that couldn't find anyone. I thought maybe this is true. I mean, it would make sense that brothers gave priority to sisters, but what happens if we do? What happens if these brothers, that black women don't want to give priority to sisters? Then what? They're going to have to settle for the ones that don't have other options in men. I mean, like, he could, if he's doing okay and he's in shape, but black women just don't want him for whatever reason, then that means he has to settle for the one that's not doing okay and not in shape and is bringing somebody else's kids for him to raise. Not only does she have the kids, but he has to raise them. The kids can't go to their dad. Can't happen. You see? It's always that. Always that. And eventually I said to her, why is it always that? You think that it's only black women that gotta settle for less. No, actually most black men have to settle for less. Black women ain't gotta settle for less until they bring other men's kids to the table, bring a big old belly and stuff like that. Brothers gotta settle for less from jump. They don't have to get these things. Matter of fact, they may not be able to. So granted, if a brother ain't doing well, he has to settle for less. But if a brother's doing well, he still has to. He has to have a PhD and a high salary for her to have a bachelor's and a low salary. That's what it's always got to be like that. Guess what? That wasn't all. After she said this, keep in mind, she celebrated Meghan Markle's wedding later on in 2018. And I find out that she was also having an affair, fornicating with a man who is part black, but she didn't know he was part black. And I know she didn't know because she told me he's not black. Now, he had his reasons, but they're not justifiable for fornication. He's a Muslim. He shouldn't have done it, but he confessed to me that he did it. So, I mean, he confessed. What am I supposed to say? I can't prove in a court of law in this country. He wouldn't be convictable just because of me saying, oh yeah, he confessed to me. But by the same token, he did confess to me, so I have to understand, while I can't testify in court that he did it, I have to understand this dude did it. Someone else confirmed for me that she said on the phone line, and he could overhear her phone conversation. She was talking to him about it. Well, we did X, Y, and Z. Why ain't we still together? So while she was telling me this, she was getting busy with a non-black man in her own mind. Now, I'm telling you about this because Sandra was getting down with this dude. But I'm telling you about this because many of us have a Sandra in the family. Sandra's more common than what we think. Sometimes Sandra is our own sibling. She wouldn't hook you up with none of her friends, but you better not go out and get you a white woman. And to them, everybody that's not black is white. You bring home a Filipina with a big old booty, oh, that's a white woman with slanted eyes. That's just how some of our sisters act. And it's ucked up, because you're told this within your own home growing up at times. I was lucky. I didn't have to go through this in my own family, but a lot of you have had to go through this in your own families. And that's what's so bad about it. You've had to deal with this kind of gaslighting from within. Your sister may have told you, you better not come home when somebody ain't black. She's pregnant. You don't know who the dad is. She never says nothing. And baby comes out baby comes out mixed. You're like, the F, man. My daughter or niece is, my nephew or niece is mixed. You see, this is a serious issue, serious problem. And I wanted you guys to understand that even though it's not every sister that's like that, let's not say that it is. I wanted you guys to understand that the ones of you that do have to deal with this are going to be very many, because while the women that are outright this boldly hypocritical, a lot of the swirlers and divestors are like that. They'll tell you not to step out, but they will. But I want you to also understand that they're more common than what you think, and more of you will have to deal with them, because you see, the ones that are like this are not going to stop at you. They're going to tell you, and they're going to tell 7 other dudes, 8 other dudes. So while they may be, while they may be about maybe if they're 30% of the black female population in the United States alone, if they're 30% of that, understand that but somewhere between 70 to 80% of black men are going to have experienced this. And those are the ones that are going to know about that. I mean, that 30% may reach 80% of black men. The question is, did you catch them in the lie or not? Did you catch them in the hypocrisy or not? That's all. That being said, it's okay, brothers, to tell sisters that although they're free to swirl and divest, it's still okay to tell them that when they do it, it's still worse than what black men do. And here's why. When you do step out, you are more likely to wind up in the arms of another woman of color than a white woman. And you're more likely to wind up in the arms of a non-Western black woman than a non-black woman. So you're not as likely to just outright sell out the race. When they do step out, if they can, they go straight for those that like us the least. The Chinese man, rarely. The Korean man, rarely. Pakistani, Indian, and Afghan man, rarely. White man, more often, because they will jump over everybody else to go straight for him, even though all the other categories of men I've mentioned have also been traumatized by this same man. That's the one that she goes straight for. Right off the bat. You have to be extra violent, extra macho, extra Mighty Joe Youngish in order to get her attention and have her convinced that you're really a man. He can be Alexis Ohanian without the money. And she will give up her religion and her virginity for him. We've seen this time and time again. It ain't brothers out here lowering standards for other women. It's sisters out there lowering standards for specifically white men. That's what's going on. Maybe other men that don't like, not just other men of color, but maybe other men that don't like us. You're dealing with hypocrisy. I hope that one day what I'm saying won't be true anymore. In the meantime, I hope it helps. Black horse sign a blackout, assalamu alaikum, and black male power just because she don't like it.